Right now, you stand before a threshold few have ever crossed. The fear that has silenced you, the hesitation that froze you at the edge of action, has never been part of your essence. It was installed, like a secret code, to keep you doubting, shrinking, obeying. You believed it was natural to tremble, to hold back, to swallow your words. But that natural was a lie. Breathe slowly, deeply. This is not simply another video to watch. It is an initiation to experience. What enters you now is not explanation but activation. A living frequency that begins to undo the old programming. For generations, guardians preserved this code in silence, waiting for the moment when humanity would be ready. Thoth himself recorded its power, knowing that one day it would return. And today, it returns to you. The cage opens. The lock falls away. And what emerges from that opening is not the self that trembles, but the self that shines. This is the awakening you were born for. If in these opening moments you already feel that something deeper than words is stirring inside you, pause and press like right now. I will know you are aligned with this truth and walking beside me on this path. And if your heart feels called, consider becoming a channel member. It's not just a gesture of support, it's a conscious choice that allows us to keep creating these living transmissions. Teachings that nourish, awaken, and sustain the flame of remembrance that too often the world tries to silence. Feel where the fear lives in your body. It could be in your chest, your throat, your stomach. Now breathe deeply into that spot and repeat in your mind, I am presence, I release this fear. If it seems simple, it's only because you're watching this video as a distraction. But if you do it with intention, your system will already begin to vibrate differently. The field shifts because this practice isn't symbolic, it's energetic. And this is just the beginning. But the most powerful part is still sealed. And when you listen to the first hidden code left by Thoth, you'll understand why no one wants you to discover it. Because when fear dissolves, you become something that terrifies any system of control, invincible. Now, if you want to cross the next portal, continue, because that's where the real truth begins. Where there is fear, the heart is absent, and where the heart is absent, the spirit cannot speak. Before a new reality reveals itself, there is always a force trying to stop you from moving forward. It doesn't manifest as a monster or a clear threat. On the contrary, sometimes it arrives as a subtle thought, a sigh, a doubt, a feeling in your stomach that stops you for no apparent reason. This is the guardian of the threshold, the last barrier between your current awareness and the next phase of your expansion. You won't see it with your physical eyes, but you will feel it. It appears every time you are about to break an old pattern. Every time you think of speaking your truth, making a different decision, moving away from what is expected, it appears like that voice that whispers, what if it goes wrong? What if they judge you? What if it's too late? That voice isn't just yours. It's part of a collective programming that guards the gates of true change. Interestingly, this symbolic guardian figure is present in nearly all authentic spiritual traditions. The Egyptians called it the dragon at the door. The Vedas saw it as a manifestation of Mara, the illusionist. In Hermeticism, it's described as the bringer of doubt, and in shamanism, as the spirit that tests the seeker's intention. In every case, the pattern repeats itself. There's a force verifying whether you're truly ready to cross the portal. But here's the most important detail. The guardian isn't against you. It doesn't want to stop you out of malice. It exists because the next level of awareness requires responsibility, and responsibility without preparation leads to collapse. That's why fear occurs before expansion, because without it, you would unknowingly enter a space you're not yet ready for. Fear, at this point, is like the fire that protects the temple. It burns those who are unprepared. It filters out those who are not ready. But at the same time, it purifies those who choose to pass through it with awareness. This is the test of the threshold. And this is why many people stop right here, because they confuse the fear of the ego with the voice of intuition. They confuse discomfort with a sign that it's not meant to be. But not every discomfort is a warning of danger. Sometimes it's a sign that your soul is expanding. The question isn't whether fear will arise. It always will. The real question is, what do you do when it arises? Do you retreat or face it? Because when you look the guardian in the eye without running away, something happens, something very subtle and very powerful. The illusion begins to dissolve, the inner voice changes tone, and what once seemed like a wall begins to reveal a passageway. This passageway doesn't lead to a physical place. It leads to a vibrational state, a new frequency where you access parts of yourself that were dormant. You begin to realize that fear wasn't the problem. The problem was how you reacted to it. When you stop resisting, stop running away, stop trying to fight fear with force, it transforms, showing its true nature. And here's the change. Fear wasn't there to destroy you, it was there to protect what's most sacred within you. But that sacredness reveals itself only to those who prove themselves worthy. Worthy not in a moral sense, but in an energetic one. To those who choose to cross over even with a pounding heart, even with a trembling voice, even with no guarantee that it will work. First code. The name reveals the portal. It is precisely at this moment, when the guardian weakens and the mind begins to quiet, that the veil of illusion becomes visible for the first time. Because fear, as you've known it until now, has never been just a feeling. It's a code, an ancient program operating in the background of your consciousness. And now that you've crossed the threshold, you begin to see the invisible commands that were installed without your awareness. The mind believes it's in control, but it's only following orders that weren't created by you. From the beginning of your life, you've been exposed to a repetitive sequence of beliefs, ideas, narratives, and experiences that have shaped the way you think, feel, and act. And do you know which pattern is most reinforced? The pattern of limitation, doubt, separation. Because the more you believe you are alone, fragile, small, or vulnerable, the easier it is to keep yourself under control. This programming isn't new. It's ancestral. It's been passed down from generation to generation like a silent legacy. You were born into a vibrational field already charged with stories of fear, scarcity, judgment, and guilt. From childhood, commands began to install themselves. Don't speak too loudly. Don't believe in yourself too much. Better not to try. And if you fail, your mind absorbed each of these phrases as absolute truth. And over the years, those commands became intertwined like roots, creating an internal structure that now seems like you. But it isn't. This you, afraid of making mistakes, feeling small in the face of life, remaining silent when you should speak, is not your true self, it's your conditioned self. It's the part of you that responds to the installed programming. And here's the thing. This programming has been reinforced daily from multiple sources. School taught you to compete, obey, and repeat. The media taught you to fear, compare, and distrust everything. And even religions, in many cases, have been distorted to foster guilt and submission, not expansion and inner truth. But none of this happened by chance. The mind programmed by fear is highly controllable, and the system that governs the modern world knows it. A fearful person consumes more, works more, obeys more, doubts less, and above all, vibrates at a lower frequency, which is exactly where the collective consciousness must be kept for nothing to change. Because if people begin to vibrate in truth, clarity, and courage, the game is over. This is why modern fear has become much more sophisticated than primitive fear. Today, it no longer manifests itself simply as the fear of death. It disguises itself as anxiety, comparison, perfectionism, and procrastination. You don't realize you're afraid, but you feel stuck. This is the new form that programming has found to protect itself. It hides. It convinces you that it's normal, that everyone lives like this, that everything's fine, but it's not. You've already sensed that something's wrong, that this frenetic, automatic life, devoid of deep meaning, can't be the purpose of human existence. And that perception is the first spark of deprogramming. When you begin to doubt your own mind, a new realm of possibilities opens up. Because if you aren't your thoughts, then who are you? This is the question that begins to deactivate the code, and the first step to doing so is consciously identifying the pattern. Name the fear, give form to what's holding you back, because as long as fear remains in the darkness, it's in charge. But when you bring it into the light of consciousness, it weakens. This is the first real exercise. Stop everything now and ask yourself with brutal honesty, what exactly are you afraid of losing? Use the name, feel it, observe it, don't judge it, simply bring it to light, because everything that is seen begins to dissolve. And now that you've begun to see the threads of this ancestral programming, you are about to access the first seal left by Thoth. A seal that cannot be deciphered by the logical mind, but only felt with the right vibration. And when you name it, something invisible breaks. It's not just a sensation, it's a vibrational disruption. Because fear, when it has no name, operates in the shadows and moves like an invisible virus that infiltrates your thoughts, your reactions, your behaviors. But the moment you speak out loud what was trapped inside you, the game begins to change. This is the first code left by Thoth, simple in form, but profound in power. Naming means breaking the spell, because fear, when it remains formless, grows. It feeds on your attempt to hide it. But when you face it, when you say with presence, "I'm afraid of this," you stop running away. And in that precise moment, the energy that was once frozen begins to move. This is what the Hermetic traditions call the first mirror, the act of looking within yourself with clarity and courage, not with judgment, not with guilt, but with presence. And presence is what dissolves the fog, because fear needs darkness to survive. It needs you to remain unconscious, reacting automatically, repeating patterns you don't even notice. But the simple act of naming what you feel already illuminates the inner space. And here's a detail that changes everything. You don't have to understand the fear, you don't have to explain it, rationalize it, or justify it. What you need is to acknowledge it, because what is acknowledged loses its power to command. And this is the secret behind the code. To name is to take command. It's to take fear out of the driver's seat and put your consciousness in its place. Now imagine a fear you carry with you, not just any fear. Think about what paralyzes you, what makes you procrastinate, what makes you sabotage yourself without realizing it. Maybe it's the fear of rejection, of failure, of not being enough. Take that fear and say in your mind, right now, clearly, "I recognize that I carry the fear of," and complete the sentence. This isn't a symbolic exercise. It's a vibrational reordering, because what is brought into consciousness begins to deprogram. The ancient Egyptians represented this moment with a symbol. The eye that opens in the midst of darkness, a sign that something has been seen and can therefore no longer reign in silence. That eye, according to the hidden scriptures, is not on the forehead, it is in pure perception. It activates when you observe without judgment, when you feel without collapsing, when you name without running away. And that's why the code begins with something so direct, observing and naming. But not just any observation. It's observation without deception, without pretense, without a mask. It's not saying, "I'm afraid," and then immediately justifying it by saying, "It's normal," or "Everyone feels this way." No, it's truly feeling it. It's saying, "I'm afraid of this," and stopping there, silently, breathing in your truth. Second code, the breath of presence. It is precisely at this point that the second code begins to operate. When the energy of fear, once hidden and frozen, begins to move, you must direct it. Because energy that moves without direction can turn into chaos. But energy that moves with awareness becomes a creative force. And the body is the altar where this direction occurs. Fear doesn't just live in the mind, it lives in the body. It settles as tension, stiffness, contraction. Have you noticed that when you feel fear, your chest tightens? Does it close, your breathing shortens, your abdomen tightens, your shoulders heave like armor? It's not a coincidence. It's the exact reflection of your vibrational field trying to protect itself. And if you don't interrupt that cycle, that protection turns into a prison. And this is where the second code left by Thoth comes into play. An ancient code that can be activated right now. And it doesn't require complex rituals or technical knowledge. It requires presence. Breathing, when performed with intention, becomes a spiritual command. It's not just air coming in and out, it's your awareness moving the energy exactly where it was blocked. Start like this. Bring to mind a situation that still triggers anxiety, fear, or discomfort. Observe the place in your body where it manifests. It could be your stomach, your chest, or your throat. Don't try to change it, simply notice it. Now direct your breath to that spot as if you were sending light into the shadows, and as you inhale, repeat in your mind, "I am presence," and as you exhale, say, "I release this fear." This practice, if done with intention, isn't symbolic, it's vibrational. It acts directly on your autonomic nervous system. And more than that, it sends a signal to your energy field that you're taking charge, that you're no longer held hostage by automatic reactions, that a new order is being established right now. The ancient Egyptians taught that breath is the messenger between worlds, between the visible and the invisible, between the physical and the subtle. This is why conscious breathing is considered a key to initiation, because it brings you back to the present moment. And it's in the present that fear begins to lose ground. Fear only exists when you're trapped in the past or projecting the future. But when you're completely here and now, it has nowhere to hold on. It's as if presence dissolves the space where fear was hiding. Breathing is what anchors that presence in the body, and when done with intention, it unlocks the flow of vital energy, the same flow that fear had paralyzed. And this unlocking isn't just energetic. It's emotional, psychological, and spiritual. You may feel waves of warmth, you may feel relief, you may even cry. Don't block anything out, because what's coming out is what no longer needs to stay. You're not just breathing, you're reprogramming. Because fear, now that it's been named and set in motion, doesn't simply disappear, it begins to change shape. And in that process of transformation, it reveals its true face, what it's always tried to hide from you, what it fiercely guards. And here's the crucial point. Fear doesn't hide a danger, it hides a desire. Yes, what you fear most is often what your soul most deeply desires. But that desire has been repressed, ignored, or judged so many times that it has become a threat, transformed into a shadow, become fear. But deep down, at the very core of that fear, there is a pure, original, true impulse, a vital force, a soul's longing for expression. This is the moment when the veil of Maya begins to fall. Maya, in the Vedic tradition, is the name given to illusion, the hall of mirrors that makes us see the world upside down, where love becomes a risk, where expression becomes shame, where freedom becomes a threat. Maya is the system that inverts signals, that makes you flee from what would actually liberate you. And this is why fear is not the enemy. It is the inverted mirror of what you most need to integrate. Look carefully now. If you fear being seen, perhaps what your soul truly desires is to be visible, recognized, heard. If you fear failure, perhaps your soul yearns to serve with purpose, to create something that impacts the world. If your fear is rejection, perhaps the deepest desire within you is to love and be loved truly. Because that's what fear does. It protects what hasn't yet been embraced. Third code, the fire of alchemical initiation. Crossing the veil is not the end. It's the beginning. The moment you see the desire behind the fear is the same moment you come face to face with your rawest, most intense, most pulsating truth. And this is where many turn back, because the soul's desire doesn't come gently, it comes like fire. It burns away everything that is false, everything built on fear, control, convenience. It sets fire to the internal structures that no longer support your greatness. And this is exactly what the third code activates. The fire of initiation. This fire isn't outside. It's not symbolic. It's vibrational. It's an inner warmth that manifests when you choose to remain present in your pain without running away. It's when fear tries to make you shrink and you remain anyway, breathing, feeling, without reacting, simply being there, fully. This is true courage, silent courage, the kind that doesn't scream, but remains steadfast when everything inside you wants to escape. Thoth called this moment the living transmutation, the instant when the lead of fear begins to melt in the warmth of presence, until it transforms into conscious gold. Gold here has nothing to do with wealth. It has to do with clarity, with sovereignty, with silent power. That gold appears only when you stop fighting fear and begin to move through it from within. Trying to overcome fear with force doesn't work. It only makes it stronger. Fear is like a shadow. The more you fight it, the more it surrounds you. But when you light the fire of observation, of feeling present without judgment, something changes. Fire doesn't destroy you, it destroys what you are not. It dissolves accumulated traumas, inherited voices, invisible conditioning, and in their place, space remains. That space is where the new you is born. But this new version doesn't come from pre-packaged formulas, it comes from an internal gesture. I'm staying, I won't run away. I can face my truth. And this is where the true alchemist reveals himself, because the alchemist isn't someone who transforms lead into gold in an external laboratory. The true alchemist is someone who can remain aware at the center of his own chaos until consciousness transforms everything. This is the final test of fire. Are you able to feel your pain until it transforms into wisdom? But fire alone doesn't open the next portal, it only prepares the ground. Because fire purifies, but it is the word that activates. And this brings us directly to the fourth code, the creative word. Because it's not enough to feel, you must declare, and not in just any way. The words you speak carry vibration. They are much more than sound, they are commands. And the universe, the energy field, reality, responds to the vibration of what you emit. Everything you say with emotion and intention becomes living programming. If you feel fear and say, "I can't, I'm weak, this isn't for me," your body believes it, your energy believes it. And everything around you begins to vibrate in alignment with that statement. Now, if you look fear in the eye and even trembling say, "I am capable, I am guided, my voice matters," something instantly changes. Because the field begins to adapt to the new code, and this code is written by you. Thinking that the word is not just language, it is condensed frequency. That's why the way you speak about yourself is sacred. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it yet. What matters is that you declare it. Because what is repeated with emotion becomes internal reality, and internal reality becomes vibration, and vibration shapes the world. Repeat after me now, if you will. My voice touches hearts. I am capable of speaking my truth. What I say builds my reality. It's not magic, it's vibrational physics. It's internal alignment. The fourth code, the courageous act that shifts the quantum field. And in this moment, when the word has already shaped the field, the universe stops, listens, but also waits. It waits for you. Because it's not enough to hear and it's not enough to speak. The field reconfigures only when there is action. True action, courageous action. Not the grandiose one that changes the entire world in one fell swoop, but that small, almost invisible step you take even when you're afraid, that you take despite the fear. That step changes everything. Thoth called this moment the vibrational turning point. It's when your body still trembles, but you move anyway. It's when the inner voice still says, "It won't work," yet you act. That gesture sends a direct command to the unconscious. The higher self is in command now. No longer the programmed mind, trauma, or the expectations of others, but the center of consciousness that has chosen not to identify with limitation. That gesture is a code, and it's one of the most powerful. Most people wait until they feel ready to begin. Wait for the fear to disappear before acting. And that's why they remain stuck in the cycle for years, decades, entire lifetimes. But the real leap occurs when you act even when you feel fear, because that action breaks the structure of the old programming, tears up the script, reconfigures the vibrational body in real time. This is where the quantum field responds, because the field doesn't respond to scattered thoughts, it responds to the coherence between intention, word, and action. When you feel fear, declare courage, and act with presence. A new pattern takes hold, and external reality begins to reorganize itself around the new frequency. The world begins to mirror the new you that has emerged. And this action doesn't even have to be grand. It can be recording a video, saying no, opening up with an apology, writing a letter, asking for help, starting an old project, looking someone in the eye and telling the truth. Any symbolic act performed with presence becomes living alchemy, because it seals the new vibration and anchors the code in the body. And when this happens, something much greater begins to move in your favor. You feel it. It's as if a force beyond the ego begins to gently push the wind in your favor. People appear, opportunities align, intuition becomes clearer, because the universe responds to courage. Not to arrogant courage, but to the kind that says, "I'm afraid, but I'm going anyway." And this is where true invincibility begins to manifest, not as the absence of fear, but as vibrational independence. The invincibility Thoth taught wasn't physical armor. It was an internal state in which fear could still appear, but no longer had power. It presents itself, it is seen, it is welcomed. But it no longer defines your decisions, no longer limits your steps, no longer imprisons your gifts. In that state, you no longer feel above pain. You are simply no longer controlled by it. The love of truth becomes stronger than the fear of loss. The desire to serve overcomes the fear of judgment. The freedom to be who you are becomes more important than the need for approval. And this is true freedom. This journey has carried you to the peak of your own transformation, where shadows reveal their hidden meaning. Fear has not vanished like smoke in the wind. It has been transcended. It may still whisper at times, but it can no longer root itself in your field, because that space has been reclaimed by your awareness, by your breath, by your courage in action. Where there was trembling, there is now movement. Where there was silence, there is now voice. Where there was paralysis, there is now a doorway to freedom. And as you step through that doorway, you understand that you were never meant to wage war against fear. You were meant to let it teach you, to let it become the very bridge that carries you across. In doing so, you yourself become that bridge, a path for others, a living frequency that shows the way. This is how the legacy continues, not written in stone, not bound in words, but alive in those who dare to awaken. The code is alive in you now. It has been sealed in your being, not as a fragile memory, but as a pulse, an indestructible vibration that cannot be erased. It will walk with you, guide you, and echo in every step you take. If you have reached this point, it is because your soul was ready to remember. And now that you have remembered, the threshold has already been crossed. You are no longer who you were. You are the living proof of the awakening you carry. If this message has reached you in a place beyond the mind, give it a like to anchor the vibration. Write in the comments the word Lumina, a new and unique seal of your awakened state, and subscribe so you may remain connected to this unfolding journey. I thank you from the depths of my being for staying until the end. May your days be filled with clarity, your nights rest in stillness, and may every step ahead be guided by courage and freedom. Carry this light within you, for it will never fade.